A new regulatory era often begins to reveal its fault lines earlier than expected, and the first 2026 shakedowns from Ferrari and Mercedes have already sent very different signals. Mercedes rolled the W17 out at Silverstone and executed a near-textbook program, 67 laps, 2 drivers, and no visible interruptions. By any conventional definition, it was a successful shakedown. Ferrari chose a far more constrained route. The SF-26 ran at Fiorano under demonstration event limits, capped at 15 kilometres. Lewis Hamilton completed the initial laps before the car came to a halt on circuit. Ferrari was quick to clarify that there was no technical failure and that the stoppage was planned to avoid exceeding the mileage limit. But in Formula One, context often struggles to keep pace with imagery. This matters because Ferrari arrive at 2026 carrying the weight of a deliberate strategic gamble. Performance was sacrificed in the previous season to prioritise the new regulations. Mercedes, having also undertaken a full reset, appeared calm and methodical from the outset. None of this tells us anything about outright performance, but it does tell us about early signals, and early signals shape momentum. One team has presented a smooth, uninterrupted introduction to its new car. The other has left room for interpretation, however justified the reasoning may be. So, after these first shakedowns, who really deserves to be seen as the early 2026 favourite? Mercedes with a near-flawless opening run, or Ferrari still carrying unanswered questions? We'll break that down next. And if you want the full picture, make sure you're subscribed and watching to the end. The contrast between these two shakedowns becomes more revealing once the regulatory and procedural context is stripped back. Ferrari's run at Fiorano was formally registered as a demonstration event. Under FIA rules, that limits running to just 15 kilometres, equivalent to roughly 5 laps of the circuit. That constraint dictated the entire programme. Hamilton completed an installation lap, followed by a short run that included a practice start before the car was deliberately stopped and returned to the garage. Ferrari confirmed that there were no reliability issues and that the halt was purely procedural. A spokesperson explained that the team had to be strict with mileage because Charles Leclerc was also scheduled to drive, and exceeding the limit would have breached the regulations. This was not a filming day, which allows up to 200 kilometres, but a far narrower window designed only to verify basic system functionality. Fred Vasseur has been consistent in framing the SF-26 as a so-called Spec A car. Speaking previously about the approach Ferrari would take into the new cycle, he explained that the priority at this stage was not performance, but validation. The objective was to ensure that the technical concept chosen for 2026 was fundamentally sound, reliable, and aligned with simulation expectations. Only once that baseline is confirmed does performance become the focus. That philosophy is rooted in recent history. Vasseur pointed to the 2014 power unit reset, when a significant proportion of the grid suffered early season retirements as teams chased performance before understanding reliability. With testing days now heavily restricted, Ferrari believes the first responsibility of a new car is simply to run as expected. Mercedes, on the other hand, used its Silverstone outing very differently. The W17 shakedown took place during a promotional filming day, granting the team close to 200 kilometres of running. George Russell and Andrea Kimi Antonelli split the mileage, completing 67 laps without reported interruption. The programme was deliberately conservative in pace and scope, but extensive in distance. Andrew Chauvelin, Mercedes' trackside engineering director, described it as a sensible first day of running, emphasising that the goal was to ensure everything operated safely and reliably. He noted that both drivers were able to experience the new car on track and that completing the allocated mileage was a significant milestone for the team at Brackley and Brixworth. Ferrari's SF-26 represents what the team itself has described as a complete rethink of the car's architecture. The designers focused on reducing weight, improving efficiency, and ensuring enough flexibility for in-season development. Notably, Ferrari has adopted a pushrod suspension layout at both ends of the car, marking the first time since 2011 that it has used a pushrod rear suspension configuration. Visually, the driver appears to sit further forward than on other cars revealed so far, and the engine cover features a serrated edge leading into the extended shark fin, mandated by the 2026 rules. These are not minor changes, and Ferrari's caution reflects the scale of the reset. The SF-26 is powered by Ferrari's all-new 2026 engine, which had been fired up earlier in the month and run by Cadillac before Ferrari's own shakedown. Integrating a new power unit with a new chassis under new aerodynamic regulations is precisely the scenario where early reliability checks carry disproportionate value. Mercedes' approach suggests a different kind of confidence. While the team has not publicly labelled its car as a Spec A, the willingness to run nearly the full filming day allowance implies a belief that the core systems are sufficiently robust. Mercedes has also been keen to stress that this was not about performance exploration, but system validation, a message broadly aligned with Ferrari's, even if the execution looked very different. Perception, however, does not always align with intent. Ferrari's stoppage, captured by fans lining the public roads around Fiorano, quickly became the defining image of the day. Videos showed Hamilton halted on the short straight near the pit entry, briefly moving before stopping again. Although these clips represented different moments of the same sequence, the visual narrative was already set. Mercedes, by contrast, benefited from a clean, controlled information flow. There were no public access vantage points comparable to Fiorano, no sudden stoppages, and no need for post-session clarification. The result was a shakedown that appeared seamless, reinforcing an impression of preparedness. That difference matters because Ferrari arrive at 2026 under heavier scrutiny. The team made an early and costly decision to divert resources to the new regulations, dropping from second to fourth in the constructors' standings over the final stretch of the previous season. Vasseur defended that call as rational, arguing Ferrari had no realistic chance of catching McLaren under the old rules. The loss in prize money was offset, in Ferrari's view, by increased aerodynamic testing time ahead of the reset. Mercedes did not face the same trade-off. It finished second in the Constructors' Championship and enters 2026 with continuity in its driver lineup and operational structure. That stability allows Mercedes to present its preparation as methodical rather than corrective. Still, it would be misleading to frame these shakedowns as a direct measure of competitive order. Neither team was chasing lap time. Both ran on demonstration or filming tyres. Neither explored setup extremes. What they did reveal, intentionally or otherwise, were their priorities and their tolerance for early exposure. Ferrari chose control over coverage. It limited risk, accepted that perception might suffer, and prioritized internal confirmation over external reassurance. Mercedes chose mileage and visibility, maximizing early data collection and allowing the optics to take care of themselves. The next phase will be far more telling. Ferrari will head to Spain for a 5-day behind-closed-doors test, where each team is permitted to run on 3 days. 2 official pre-season tests in Bahrain will follow, providing the first genuine opportunity to compare approaches under similar conditions. Only then will questions about pace, efficiency, and energy management begin to surface. For now, the question is not which car is faster, but which philosophy is better suited to the realities of modern Formula One testing. Is Mercedes right to accumulate mileage at the earliest opportunity, locking down correlation and building confidence quickly? Or is Ferrari right to proceed cautiously, ensuring the foundation is sound before expanding the program? Early signals suggest Mercedes has executed a cleaner opening, but history offers plenty of examples where early neatness did not translate into long-term advantage. Equally, Ferrari's conservative approach carries its own risks if issues emerge later, when time to react is limited. So as we move from these shakedowns toward the first proper tests, who do you think has taken the smarter first step into the 2026 era? Is Mercedes already positioning itself as the early benchmark? Or is Ferrari simply refusing to show its hand too soon? Let us know what you think in the comments, because this rivalry is only just beginning.